right, thank you, everybody. I'm delighted now to introduce our speaker or speakers for the day. We haven't really determined whether I'm going to be one or two.
I think she has.
But Dennis and Jana Nienhueser, did I get that right?
You did.
You did.
Okay. They're from New York, and they have started Lincoln's newest coffee destination, Rock and Joe Coffee. And so I'm anxious to hear their story, and I'm sure it's going to be an interesting one.
Okay.
Please take it away.
Are we on? Yes. All right. As Steve said, I'm Dennis, and this is my wife, Jana, and tell you a little bit about our background to start with. I farmed for 38 years back in New York, born and raised in the farming and a family farm, and decided in 2010 that we should have a hobby. So we started out with 200 some grapevines, and we're raising grapes from Meta Vista in St. Paul, Nebraska. And a little bit about Jana. She is a school teacher in New York, been third grade elementary school teacher for 20 plus years now. So we decided having the vineyard might be a fun hobby in our retirement days. So, but if we just stayed with 200 vines, it would have been a fun hobby. Now we're up to 1,000 vines on 2 acres, and it's more work than a hobby should ever be. So, but with that, since we kept expanding and kept growing from Meta Vista, for the first time last year, we asked Mick up there at Meta Vista if he would make the wine for us with our grapes underneath their own label. So that's where the Whispering Winds label comes in conjunction with the coffee shop. And I guess it's been kind of a long road to get to the point where we're at now. Since we started growing grapes, everybody kept trying to talk us into York. Our friends in the community thought we needed a tasting room. And I talked to Mick at Meta Vista, and I said, I can't see where there's a lot of money in a tasting room. And he says, no, there's really not, unless you're going down the path where you're going to have the wedding venues and all that. And I said, I'm not going down that path. Busy every weekend. And so at that point, I guess it just kept setting in the back of our minds. And we had a daughter that graduated from UNK, our youngest daughter, Tara, and was having trouble finding a job in her field, which was recreational management. She was applying for jobs all over the U.S., but everybody wanted experience and decided, how do you get experience with nobody to hire you? So she actually saw this ad for a management position for a competing coffee brand. And I took her to Omaha and got her signed up for the training and stuff, and was talking to the regional director for that competing brand. I said, it'd be cool if we could put one of these in New York and have Tara run it for us. And so I said, what do we need to do? She goes, we'll get a hold of corporate. So I called corporate, and they would not talk to me because they only work with multi-franchise owners. And I tried on several occasions to get back to them just to try to get the ball rolling and do something, and they would not talk to me. So at that point, we got frustrated. I got online and started researching coffee shop franchises, and ran across Rock and Joe's, got kind of drawn in by their website to begin with. We called back and talked to the executive vice president in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's where headquarters are at, and kind of hit it off with him. And he said, we want to sit down and talk to you guys. He said, we just got the Rock and Joe franchise got bought out by iBlack Holdings in 2013, I believe. He said, we are looking to expand this and go nationwide. So we want to sit down and talk to you. So we flew to Pittsburgh, and they kind of rolled out the red carpet for us, showed us corporate headquarters, took us to one of the stores, sampled the food, the coffee. We liked what we saw, and we came back. And initially we tried to do this all in New York and got met with nothing but local politics and got fed up with the whole process. We scrapped the idea. I told Jane, I said, I'm not doing this anymore after this headache we went through. And somebody said, why don't you look at Lincoln? I said, Lincoln scares me. I said, I know nothing about the Lincoln market. I said, I wouldn't have a clue where to go. But we had one daughter living here already that lives right on Glen Oaks Drive where the coffee shop is at, about 3 blocks from where the coffee shop's at now. And we kept driving. The one building that was built there where Honest Abe's and Sebastian's at now, they had a for lease signed up for Hampton Enterprises. So I told Jana, let's call them and see what they're doing. And we called and talked to Michelle Keogh at Hampton's, and we told her what we wanted to do. And we said we need a drive-through. She goes, the building that's there won't have a drive-through. The next one we're building will. And we'd like to sit down and talk to you. He said, you're early enough in the process. You can sit down with us, help us design the building, and work with us to get it built. And we met with her, and it was a whole 180-degree turnaround for what we dealt with in New York. They bent over backwards to help us out and get the thing built. We sat down with Peace Architect Studios, helped them with the design. It's kind of a blend of their ideas, our ideas, and the franchise. It's a whole new concept for the franchise as far as the interior finish. So it's kind of a blend of all three, and it turned out pretty nice. So we got a lot of nice compliments on the interior, and we actually got a comment on Facebook shortly after we opened. Somebody compared us to the Central Perk of Lincoln, so that was kind of cool to see that. So that's what we were going for. We just want a nice, relaxed atmosphere where people can sit down, enjoy a cup of coffee, and feel like they're at their house doing so. And it's nice having Tara there running it. She's our youngest daughter. She had the experience. She was running 5 stores for the competing brand as a regional director for them, and we asked her if she would come run this for us. She actually got married, 2 years ago, and we asked her a couple months before her wedding if she would do this for us. I said, we don't need to know now. I said, let's get you married. I said, you guys go on your honeymoon, come back, we'll discuss it when you come back. So, and you have to know Tara, she's just laid back to a fault. So we asked her when she got back, I said, so what did you guys decide? She goes, we talked about it, and you don't know what's coming next. She goes, I think we're going to do it. So at that point, we hired her to help us run it, and quite frankly, we could not do it without her. She just, she is. She does a really good job, and she amazes us on a daily basis, not just because I'm her dad, but I think anybody would be impressed with what she's doing there with just running the store and building spreadsheets to track all of our costs and our cost of goods, and just she's doing a great job. So.
Tell them about Sam.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of good customers, John being one of them. We see John quite a bit, but Tara's got a favorite that comes through the drive-thru, and they're from Australia. This little tyke is maybe 5, 6 years old, and his mom, they come through the drive-thru almost every day, but Tara's gotten to be his favorite barista. So they come through, and she's got to roll down the back window every time so he can talk to Tara every morning. So what did he say the other day?
Well, he had asked her if she had any plans for the weekend, Memorial Day weekend, and she goes, well, we're going to go to a friend's house for a barbecue. Well, then they were just in again yesterday, and she just was so amazed, and she asked how his weekend went. Oh, it was good. And he goes, and how was your barbecue? And he's just a little guy, and just her relationships with people have been amazing, because she's very quiet, very laid back, but she is always a constant. She's just that person you just feel comfortable with, because she's always the same person. So yeah, we're pretty proud of her.
So I guess with that, we'll open it up. If you guys have any questions or anything that you'd like me to address that we haven't addressed, I went kind of fast, but sure.
One thing I'd like to point out is they have an amazing conference room.
Yep.
For free.
Yep.
And it's got all the electronic that you need, so I've been there for some meetings, and it's just amazing.
Yep, and that was we felt like it was a good drawing card because we were going to do that in York. Then we got to Lincoln and we're talking to Hamptons. I said, we don't know if there's a need for a conference room in Lincoln, but we were going to do that in York. And they all chimed in and said, if you're going to do this, you've got to have a conference room. There is no place in Lincoln to meet. And so we decided, and the franchise was dead set against it. They said that space you don't need to be paying for us because we don't see any need for it. And so we lobbied pretty hard for it. Hamptons did. Finally got them to agree to it. And then to the grand opening, the Verrill Ablack came out. He's the owner of the whole franchise. And he walked back there and he said, we thought this was going to be pretty cool. And he first saw the inside of the store, but said, this blows me away. Then we walked back and looked at the conference room. He said, initially we were dead set against this. Now that I see it, he says, I get it. So.
And just to second that, our Bible study, I don't know if we want to go first, but our Bible study meets every Monday morning, and we're doing a series now which has a video series in part of it. They have everything you need for that, for projection, and they accommodate it. To me, they also, there's the combination of coffee coming back in the evening for some wines,
Yep.
not only yours, but some of the other.
Yeah, maybe I should touch on that a little more in detail. In addition to our 3 labels, we have 2 whites and a red. In addition to those, we have 13 other Nebraska wines. We're trying to stay all Nebraska-based. And we have the automated wine dispensers. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but the gals can load a card for you at the register and put X amount of dollars on that card, whatever you prefer. There you go, John's got his ready. So, and with that card, you go to the machine and slide the machine, that activates the machine, and then you get a tasting, a half glass or a full glass of any wine in there. So if you just want to do a tasting and go through and taste them all and find one you like, you can do that. And the nice part about that, it takes our baristas out of the equation as far as knowing all the product information on the wines. And we found that a lot of people like to just go and explore on their own. They don't want somebody sitting there and telling them everything about the wines. And So we have a card there, and it gives a brief description of each wine in there, and they kind of go and explore on their own, and they like it. So, and we also have Nebraska craft beers there too. So, yes.
You know, I think it's really great that, well, first of all, there are some issues with York. And
Yep.
I guess I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on, like, for business owners, if maybe you want to do something in your hometown, you have an idea to do something in your city, and then it doesn't work out. You persisted, and you said, well, we're going to do Lincoln, and it's working out.
Yeah, and I think it was just the good Lord putting us in the right spot. Looking back, York wouldn't have been a good fit for us. It wouldn't have done the volume of business we're doing in Lincoln. And so I think that was just him pushing us the right direction. So,
Do you see yourself going back to York, or maybe just
no,
continuing to expand?
after that experience, I will not develop anything in York. It's left a sour taste in my mouth, and so.
What about
And-
expanding in Lincoln?
We're looking. We've got a lot of people talking to us. I
Way
said,
north, so getting
Yeah.
over there is like.
we got to get through the jitters of this first one first before we look at doing anything else. But yeah, we've had 3 developers talk to us. We just had a guy in the store yesterday talk to us. He's got a lot down in this area that he'd like us to develop too. So, but,
Dennis?
Yeah.
As you take your business model from your franchise when you started, got their agreement, have you changed your model, even though it's part of a franchise, have you changed or modified your model for here, and if so, how?
no, we pretty much have to follow their guidelines. We try to. That's me because I have never beat anybody else's drum. I've been a business owner, been in business for myself for 38 plus years. And so it's taken a little bit for me to get used to marching to somebody else's drum. So we didn't really get in trouble, but I thought it'd be cool to do a promotion for Valentine's Day. We teamed with High Society Cheesecake. We got to know them through the food show at the Embassy Suites in November. We sat right beside him and said, we would like to help promote you guys, so that'd be kind of cool to work with you. So we got a hold of them, did a little promotion for Valentine's Day, had some of the individual cheesecakes, and we had a few left over. Well, corporate came out for their corporate quarterly visit, and we had a few left over in the freezer, and never said a word to Terry about it. He saw him back there. But then we left that day. He was still there doing some stuff for corporate, and Marcus, who owns High Society, came in and was asking just how the promotion went, and was talking to one of our helpers, Sally, about it. And Sally says, well, it went pretty good. He said it wasn't quite the success because the weather was bad in February and stuff. And well, this guy from corporate overheard it and came over and just laid into this guy from Marcus from High Society. And Sally let me know, so I called Marcus. I said, that's on me. I said, I apologize. I said, we just thought it was a one-time thing. We thought we'd be okay with it. And I said, if there's any hurt feelings, I said, I apologize, that's on me. And he says, no, he said, it was a little awkward at first. He said, I smoothed it over. He said, we're fine. So it's just a learning curve for me. So, but as far as the business model, we're pretty much, following what they say right now. So
Does their business model include having alcohol on the menu for evenings then, or is that?
it's an option.
Okay.
Yep, and that's one of the things that kind of drew us to them, initially, because they're one of the few that would allow us to do that. We had a couple back in Pittsburgh when we were doing our training in Pittsburgh. We all went back for 3 weeks of training, and we had a couple reach out to us that were thinking about doing a franchise back there and wanted to go out to dinner and discuss, our experience with working with the franchise and getting ours up and going. And I said, yeah, that'd be great. We'll go out to dinner. So we got to visiting with them, and they said, just out of curiosity, what did it cost to get a liquor license in Nebraska? And I said, well, once, with legal fees and permits and everything, once we're all in, about $2,500. And he looked at me, he says, what? He says, that's what they told you? I said, well, yeah, that's about what we have in it. I said, so what's it here? He said, Pittsburgh, it's $300,000 to get a permit. So that's why you don't see any of those back there there is one that has beer, but they said they actually had a company in Pittsburgh that was buying liquor licenses and holding them as stock and then selling them to stores that wanted.
That doesn't drove the price up.
Yeah, yep. So you would have to sell a lot of wine and beer to cover that expense.
Yeah, but that is one reason why we went, another reason with Rock and Joe's is because they would let us have
Right,
that
yep,
franchise
yep.
or have our wine in there
Yep.
also.
It's all kind of tied in nice together, so, yes.
Back to coffee. I assume, I shouldn't assume, okay, let me make a question. Do you get all of your coffee from franchisor? They do all the roasting, so?
They work with Delano's out of Seattle. That Delano's Roasters does all of our roasting for us, and they do it under the Rock and Joe name. So all of our coffees are actually maybe I should explain. Rock and Joe's is a combination of the love of rock music and the coffee. So the rock part, and then Joe is the coffee part. So all their coffees are named after bands or a music genre. Yep. Velvet Underground, we have, I won't name them all, reggae, sledgehammer, they're all named acoustic. So they're all named after, music genres.
Say some things about your Friday night entertainments.
Yeah, we're starting to have bands on Friday and Saturday evenings, sometimes either Friday or Saturday, sometimes both. And so that's been pretty popular. People can come in and, we set them up, have been singing that by the fireplace. And that works out really well. Now with the weather getting nicer, we'll probably look at putting them out on the patio. We are doing a block party June 7th. So if that works for you guys to come out, we're going to do just kind of a combination of all the businesses there. We all got together and decided we need to bring attention to the area since we're getting it all developed now. So we're going to do like a block party theme where we all run specials. Bubbles and Blocks are bringing like face painting for the kids, balloon tying. They're going to have a fire truck for the little kids to explore. We'll all run specials. There'll be grand prize giveaways. We're going to have grab bags where people get a bag and then go around each business and we'll put some small token in there like a free coffee card or something. But then we're going to interlace. Everybody's going to throw in like 2 or 3 gift cards and they'll be put in amongst those 250 bags. So people may be getting a nice gift card too. They won't know that's in there. So
Get Michelle to pay for it.
yeah, they are helping us out. They're paying for the bag. So yes, Julie.
Whose idea was that?
Kind of a comment. It kind of started with Fly Fitness. Jenny and Morgan over there, we were talking to them. They've been really good advocates for us and us for them. So we kind of started with us talking about it, and then we reached out to everybody else, and they were on board with it. So
What are the hours?
it'll be 5 to 9. There'll be live music from 6 to 8, and we've asked the band that if we do have a nice crowd, that they agree to play longer if they need to. So they may Acoustic Crossroads.
Cool.
Yep, that's been one of our more popular bands.
Do you actually pay the band?
We do. Yep. For new musicians, we bring them in and pay them about $50 to see what kind of crowd they bring in, engage it by then, and if we have them back, then we increase it accordingly. So
How are you gonna market this?
the block party,
Yeah.
it's on Facebook right now. Then Hamptons are pushing it out for us as well.
And then I think each business is sending out like to their, their.
Yeah, each business. Yep, each business is promoting it as well, and we're promoting it with Bubbles and Blocks. We're sending out flyers. They send a day sheet home with every kid, so we're going to attach flyers to all those promoting it for every family. So we get a lot of those families there. Just it's going to be a family-friendly event, so we'd like to see a lot of those kids there, and having fun with the face painting and the balloon tying and all that stuff. So
Is that already on your Facebook page so I can?
it is. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yes, Steve.
Dennis, you mentioned that you've been an entrepreneur for a number of years. Can you briefly mention some of your other ventures that you're still actively in, or?
It kind of started with the vineyard, and that's probably our first venture out of the farming
I like how you say
community.
we all the time.
Yeah. It's funny you say entrepreneur. We were giving a presentation for the FFA back home, and somebody referred to us as an entrepreneur for the first time. I said, yeah, that sounds nice, but really, I said, really, entrepreneur is just another word for crazy people. So,
You have a room for it?
yeah.
Do you have plans to expand your vineyard further then?
We're kind of landlocked right now. We've expanded as far as we can. We don't really have room for any more, so. And I'm not sure how many more years I can do the vineyard. It's all hand labor, so it's just a lot of pruning, and they told us a lot of work when we got into it, but I thought my farm for 38 years, how much work can it be? But and it's not that it's hard labor, it's just tedious. So.
So are you being affected by the rain?
No, it really isn't. At this time of the year, if it gets later and the fruit sets on, and we would have this much rain, it would pretty much ruin the quality of the fruit. Yep. You want some hot, dry weather when the fruit sets to set the sugars and stuff. It was all, we just flew by the seat of our pants and read books and talked to Mick at Mileta Vista, went to growers meetings and seminars, and I bought a book and read that. And so it's been a learning curve.
I'd say Max Creek kind of.
Yeah, Max Creek kind of started with them. Her boss, her principal at the elementary school, it's her aunt and uncle that run Max Creek in Lexington. And we went out to her wedding and got to visiting with those folks out there, and they said something about contracting with growers to grow grapes. And I guess that's what piqued my interest initially. I said, so are you guys looking for growers now? He said, we're not, but he said, we'd encourage you to grow some. He said, there's always somebody looking for grapes. So we started, and then we ran across Mick was looking for growers. So that's how we ended up there at St. Paul. Yeah, Jody.
One thing I appreciate about both of you is that you got this idea and you ran into problems, but you continued on.
Yeah.
And then you got another idea from that idea. And it's just for an entrepreneur group that a lot of us are startups or have been here for a while. This is an amazing story from both of you.
No, thank you. It takes nerves to steal, that's for sure. So
Takes passion
it does. Yep. And like I said, you know, if it wasn't for Tara there, this would be a whole different story. I don't think I would have done it without Tara. Because number one, it's fun being there when she's there and watching her. And we've had a lot of compliments from people that come in that they like when Jane and I are there working with Tara, and it's a local owned and run business. So.
Well, we show up Monday mornings at 6 a.m. and Tara's there.
Oh, yeah.
Wide bushy tail.
Yeah.
She may go to bed at like 6:30 at night, but.
Yeah. Yes.
Are you going to relocate to Lincoln, or are you planning to?
At some point, I would like to. I could see myself moving to Lincoln, but she's got about 4 years before she retires from teaching, so, yep.
Yeah.
Sure,
I
yep.
guess that kind of leads into that. What's your exit strategy?
We really don't have one set in place right now, but at some point, we'd like to turn everything over to Tara. She would run it, and maybe create a holding company between our 3 kids and have them all own it, and have Tara be the manager of the whole company. We have, I guess I should mention other kids. We have Nienhueser, our middle daughter. She's the one that already lived here in Lincoln with her husband Andy. They have 2 children, are Asher and Jayla. Asher is 4, 3, and Jayla is about 19 months. So it's fun having them right there close to. Asher and Jayla go to Bubbles and Blocks right across the street, so once in a while we'll pop over and pick the kids up and bring them back. And they always want a treat at the coffee shop. Their big thing is cinnamon rolls and a smoothie. So, yep. So they get a little spoiled once in a while from Grandpa and Grandma. So yeah, that's to answer your question, is turn it all to the 3 kids someday. We have a son in Denver as well. So, yes.
That was the biggest thing I got out of your whole story, just where they brought that up, is that I thought that was amazing that a lot of it started out because of your daughter. I wish I had that kind of dedication on my parents. My dad's a salesman. I wish he had the entrepreneurial bug.
Yeah.
I found out a while back ago that you can be in business and there still be a difference in personality. My dad doesn't, and I wish he did. I wish I could do these things with my family and make things a lot easier. That's why when I stood up earlier and I said, this is my family, but I just really appreciate that.
No, thank you. And
It tells me that's how we don't do that enough as families, and that bothers me, because families make life easier for each other, and I guess it's nice to see them.
And we started this whole thing, I told Tara it's all about, and she knew this just from being raised, not tooting our own horn, but all our kids know how to treat people, and that's important to us. So, and we want to relay that to all our help too, that they treat the customers right. And I think John can attest that for the most part, they're doing a great job. We've lost a few just because they weren't doing what we expected them to do, so.
Well, and this job is a stepping stone for most of your people. It's, they're moving
It
on
is.
to other things, and that's happy.
A lot of college kids, we don't,
Yeah.
you can't blame them for moving on, but it's part of the cycle, and Tara knows that, and she does a great job of hiring new ones to replace them, so.
So are you hiring?
We are, yep.
Okay.
Yep, Tara just made, she interviewed 3 people yesterday again, so I think she made 2 more hires out of those, so, yep. Get a lot of great applicants, and that's, I guess, going into this, that was probably one of my biggest concerns, is finding help, and good help. And Tara put out a ad on Indeed, and I think within 2 weeks' time, we had 80 applications to go through. And I know Honest Abe's came over, they were running a job fair, because our space was finished before theirs, so they wanted to use our conference room, and they ran a job fair one day, and I think they might have, it was all day long, had 3 people show up. They said, so what are you guys doing to find help? I said, what? They said, Tara just advertised on Indeed, and I said, we had all, 80 applications show up. She goes, really? Said, we did the same thing to have anybody show up. So I don't know if just people want to work in a coffee shop or that atmosphere, or, yeah.
It's you too.
Oh, well, thank you.
Oh.
Yes.
And it's, as you've said multiple times, it's the good Lord.
Yeah.
And when you've got that, people can feel it and sense it, and I was fortunate enough to meet you both the first time I went in there. And the whole entire atmosphere around.
It's a culture.
Yeah, the culture, yeah.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, definitely, and I don't know anything about it on the stage, so
Oh.
I'm not saying. anything.
Well, thank you. That was kind of you to say. Appreciate it.
Larry Elias, who I met with this morning,
Pardon me?
Larry Elias, who was in a meeting with me this morning,
Yeah.
that leads our Bible study, we came in separately different times, just to feel the place out, because at that time we didn't know it.
Yeah.
And he and I got together and said, yeah, it's culture, and it's a faith-based culture.
Yep.
I don't know how to tell you.
And that's what we were going, that's what we were going for, yeah.
He-
We do a lot of.
He doesn't give up.
we
He
do.
said he scrapped this whole thing. Yeah, I'm very, rarely does he.
We do a lot of
scrap
things on hope and a prayer.
So,
A lot of it happens.
Yeah, yeah. Like our dad told us growing up, I just did a deal for Strictly Business, and they said, what is your favorite quote? And I said, growing up on the farm, we were taught that it was work before play. Well, the work was never done, so we didn't play much. But also, Dad always said, the harder you work, the luckier you get. So I think there's a lot to that.
Any other questions? If not, thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Both so much.
Thank you, guys. I should say that there's free coffee cards back on the table and business cards, so help yourself. Take more than one of the free coffee cards if you got some friends or anybody who would be interested in a free cup of coffee and coming down and finding out what we're about. Take as many as you want and pass them out for us, 'cause we're all about just getting our name out there right now and being recognized. Yep.
And for those that don't know where you're at, you're located at?
5025 Lindbergh Street, which is 84th, and Glen Oaks Drive.
They also have.
Glen Oaks?
And one of my groups is trying there the end of June. Of course, you want to visit before the end of June, but if you want to come see
Celtic Air?
Lincoln Celtic players.
Oh,
Oh,
perfect.
They were here,
Yeah.
they were there once already.
yes,
Yeah, we had to be gone that night, so I'm looking forward to hearing you.
yes.
And as a thank you for speaking today, we're going to give you both one of our Focus Suite mugs, which is appropriate for when you drink coffee. So, thank you both for being here. No need to run off. You can hang around up here as long as you want. Meet one another, exchange business cards, come up and talk to Dennis and Jana one-on-one if you want, and grab some more of their coffee and muffins, because they are great.
Yeah, help yourselves.
Thank you for being here. We'll see you next week. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. And let me get to it.